all historical investigation, if pursued honestly, eventually leads back to the map. More than just tools for navigation, maps are the framework upon which we build our understanding of the past. They are a declaration of knowledge, a snapshot of a civilization's worldview, captured in ink and parchment. My research had brought me to the age of discovery. I was studying that remarkable period of brave, and often brutal, exploration. A time when the known world seemed to expand with each perilous voyage. It was an era defined by the courage of mariners and the genius of the cartographers who translated their findings into a new, emerging picture of our planet. I was examining the masterworks of the great mapmakers of the 16th century, the elegant projections of Mercator, the magnificent world map of Oronteus Finaeus, and the famously mysterious chart of the Ottoman admiral, Piri Reis. Their work is beautiful. It is a sublime blend of empirical science and evocative art, filled with intricate compass roses, mythical sea creatures, and the elegant calligraphy of forgotten place names. But as I traced the elegant lines of their coastlines, moving from the familiar shores of Europe to the newly charted coasts of the Americas, a detail emerged that should not exist. A detail that, at first, seems like an error, but upon closer inspection, reveals itself to be a profound and unsettling impossibility. At the very bottom of the world, in a place yet to be officially discovered for another 300 years, in a place our own history books tell us was an unknown, frozen wasteland, they drew a continent. And on that continent, there was no ice. The anomaly has a formal name. In academic circles, it is called an anachronism, an object or idea that is out of its proper time. But such a clinical term fails to capture the sheer impossibility of what we are looking at. We will call it by a more fitting name, the anachronistic map of Antarctica. The most famous, the most studied, and the most unsettling of these artifacts is the Piri Reis map of 1513. Drawn on gazelle skin, it is a surviving fragment of a larger world map, and it is a masterpiece of early cartography. It shows the coasts of Western Europe, North Africa, and Brazil with a level of accuracy that is, for its time, remarkable. The internal logic of the map is sound. But then, as your eye travels down the coast of South America, the map continues. It charts a landmass extending eastward where there should only be open ocean. For centuries, this was dismissed as a simple error, a fantasy of the cartographer. But in the 20th century, a new and chilling hypothesis emerged. What if this wasn't a mistake? What if this was the northern coast of the Antarctic continent? Experts have now identified this mysterious landmass as a near-perfect representation of Queen Maud Land in Antarctica. The problem with this is twofold, and each problem is more profound than the last. First, Antarctica would not be officially discovered for another 300 years, in 1820. For Piri Reis to have known of its existence is, according to the standard historical model, IMPOCBL second, and far more profoundly. The map appears to show the coastline under the ice cap. It depicts a subglacial topography, the actual land beneath the ice, that we ourselves have only been able to map in the modern era using sophisticated tools like seismic echo sounding and ground penetrating radar. The map shows river estuaries and a coastline that have been buried under more than a mile of ice for, we are told, thousands, if not millions, of years. This is not a simple anachronism. It is a paradox, written on parchment. How is this possible? When confronted with an artifact that so profoundly challenges our understanding of history, the academic establishment responds with a predictable and necessary skepticism. The official explanation for the Piri Reis map is that it is a simple coincidence, or more likely, a series of cartographic errors and misinterpretations. The prevailing theory suggests that the landmass in question is not Antarctica at all. It is, they argue, a distorted representation of the South American coast, perhaps that of Patagonia, which the cartographer simply bent eastward to fit onto the limited space of the gazelle skin parchment. The rivers shown are not pre-glacial Antarctic rivers, but are merely stylized depictions of the great rivers of South America. The similarities to the subglacial topography of Queen Maud Land are dismissed as a form of pareidolia, the human tendency to see patterns in random data. A trick of the eye and the mind. This explanation seems plausible on the surface. It is a neat and comfortable solution that requires no revision of our established historical timeline. It allows the map to remain a beautiful curiosity, but not a disruptive one. Except, this explanation begins to fracture when you do something very simply: read the mapmaker's own words. In the margins of the map itself, Piri Reis wrote a series of detailed notes, or colophons. In these notes, he makes a crucial statement. He states clearly that he did not draw the map from his own explorations, nor from the accounts of his contemporaries like Christopher Columbus. Instead, he compiled it from a large number of much older source maps. He explicitly mentions some 20 source charts, including 8 maps of Jaffaria from the time of Alexander the Great, and 1 map supposedly from Columbus himself. Piri Reis was not an explorer in this instance. He was a compiler, an archivist. He was preserving knowledge that was already ancient, in his own time. This single fact shatters the distorted coastline theory. If the map is a copy of much older source maps, then the error, if it is an error, is not his. It is an ancient error, passed down through generations of cartographers. The official narrative, therefore, asks us to believe in a chain of impossible coincidences. It asks us to believe that ancient cartographers accidentally drew the coast of South America in a distorted way that, purely by chance, happens to perfectly match the subglacial coastline of a then unknown continent. Coincidence has a limit. This stretches it far past the breaking point. The map is not a mistake. It is a message from a forgotten past. The Piri Reis map, as astonishing as it is, does not exist in a vacuum. If it were a single isolated artifact, it could perhaps be dismissed as an elaborate, inexplicable fluke. But it is not. It is a key piece of evidence in a distinct and troubling pattern of anachronistic cartography. It is one voice in a chorus, singing a song of a world our history books tell us never existed. Consider the work of Oronteus Finaeus, a celebrated French mathematician and cartographer. His 1531 heart-shaped world map is a beautiful and famous piece of work, and right at its center, where the Antarctic continent should be, he draws it. Not as a vague, icy land of speculation, but as a fully formed continent with remarkable detail. His map shows an Antarctica almost entirely free of ice. It depicts mountains, valleys, and river systems flowing from the interior highlands to the sea. It shows a landmass not just existing, but habitable. Then there is the work of the father of modern cartography himself, Gerardus Mercator, the man who gave us the Mercator projection, the very framework for the maps we use today. His 1569 world map, like that of Oronteus Finaeus, also includes a detailed Antarctic continent. While some parts are obscured by a decorative cartouche, what is visible is, again, a land of mountains and rivers. Not an empty, frozen wasteland. He even includes the note Terra Australis Nondum Cognita, the southern land, not yet known. A strange admission for a map that proceeds to chart that very land with such apparent confidence. The pattern continues. The 1593 map by a Turkish cartographer, Haji Ahmed. The 1737 map by the French academic, Philippe Bouch, which seems to show Antarctica as 2 separate islands. a depiction that perfectly matches the subglacial landmass beneath the ice sheet, something not officially confirmed until 1958. Where did these masters of cartography, men who were so meticulous and scientific in their work, get this information? They were not explorers charting new lands. They were scholars working in libraries, compiling data. Their maps whisper a consistent secret that they had access to a library of source material. That should not exist. These are not isolated mistakes. They are echoes of a consistent, shared knowledge system. They are fragments of a geography of a world that no longer exists. This leaves us with a profound and deeply uncomfortable question. How could 16th century mapmakers know the precise topography of a continent that has, according to modern geology, been buried under a mile of ice for thousands, if not millions of years? The official explanations, coincidence, error, lucky guesses, are fundamentally insufficient. They fail to account for the consistency, the detail, and the repeating pattern of this impossible knowledge. When the established paradigm fails to explain the evidence, we are obligated as honest investigators to consider alternative frameworks. This is where the Tartarian framework becomes essential. It proposes a radical but coherent explanation. It suggests that Piri Reis, Oronteus Finaeus, and Mercator were not prophets or guessers. They were librarians. They were the inheritors of a fragmented, dying science from a civilization that came before ours. The framework suggests that these were not new maps, but copies of copies, the last surviving remnants of a worldwide, pre-cataclysmic human civilization. A civilization with the technology and the motivation to accurately survey and map the entire globe, including an ice-free, habitable Antarctica. A civilization that may have had outposts, or even cities, on that green, temperate southern continent. In this view, the Age of Discovery was not an age of new discovery at all. It was an age of rediscovery. It was an era where humanity, recovering from a global cataclysm that erased its own history, painstakingly tried to piece together the lost knowledge of its ancestors. The maps of Piri Reis and others are not fantasies. They are echoes. They are the last precious fragments of a global mapping project, from a world that had vanished. Piri Reis' own notes support this. He wrote that he compiled his map from ancient sources. He was not an explorer in this regard. He was an archivist, desperately preserving the brilliant, fading light of a vast, inherited knowledge from a world we have been taught to forget. Let us move beyond the framework and focus on the hard, physical evidence presented by the maps themselves, details that you can see and verify. First, and most critically, the subglacial topography. In the mid-20th century, a team of researchers led by Professor Charles Hapgood conducted a groundbreaking analysis. Using modern seismic survey maps of the Antarctic continent, maps created with technology that can see through the ice, they compared the known subglacial landmass with the coastline depicted on the Piri Reis map. The correlation is undeniable, and it is stunning. The bays, the peninsulas, the river estuaries shown on the 16th century parchment match the actual land hidden beneath the ice with a degree of accuracy that defies chance. It is a one-to-one correspondence between an ancient drawing and a modern scientific discovery. This is not pareidolia, it is data. Second, the problem of longitude. The official history of navigation tells us that accurately determining longitude at sea was the single greatest scientific challenge of the Age of Discovery. It was a problem not officially solved until the invention of the marine chronometer in the late 18th century. Before that, longitude was mostly guesswork. Yet, Professor Hapgood's analysis, supported by the United States Air Force, concluded that the Piri Reis map, and others like it, were drawn using a sophisticated spherical trigonometry and projections centered on Alexandria, Egypt. While some of the distortions can be attributed to the difficulty of transcribing a spherical globe onto a flat surface, the map shows stunningly accurate relative longitudes between the coasts of Africa and South America. It displays a level of navigational and geographic knowledge that its supposed creators should not have possessed for another 250 years. Third, the verdant details. Let us return to the Oronteus Finaeus map. It doesn't just show a vague, empty landmass. It shows a habitable, life-bearing, verdant anomaly. The map is filled with intricate details of mountains, valleys, and, most importantly, river systems flowing from the interior highlands to the sea. Rivers require liquid water. Liquid water requires temperatures above freezing. The map does not depict a land of ice. It depicts a temperate world, a world of flowing water where today there is only a frozen desert. This isn't a guess or an artist's fantasy. It is a detailed memory of a different climate, a different Earth. These maps are not just pictures, they are data points. And the data points to a single, radical conclusion. Their source material was created by someone who saw Antarctica when it was green. When faced with such powerful, disruptive evidence, the question inevitably arises: why is this not common knowledge? Why is this not taught in our universities? This leads us to the most subtle and pervasive type of cover-up. The cover-up here is not one of shadowy figures hiding documents in secret vaults. It is one of academic inertia and a deep, systemic, and willful ignorance. Mainstream history and geology are built upon a fixed and comfortable timeline. Our planet is old. The ice caps are ancient. And advanced human civilization is a very recent phenomenon, a flicker of light in the last few thousand years of a long, dark prehistory. This is the foundational paradigm of our modern understanding of the past. These maps are a direct and existential threat to that entire timeline. They suggest that the timeline is wrong. They suggest that high civilization, with global navigation, advanced mathematics, and sophisticated technology, is not a recent development, but may be cyclical, rising and falling over ages we cannot even imagine. They suggest the ice caps may not be as ancient and permanent as we are told. Rather than confront the profound implications of this evidence, rather than risk the monumental task of revising the entire timeline of human history, the academic establishment has chosen a safer path: dismissal. These maps are relegated to the fringe. They are labeled as unproven, controversial, or simply pseudo-archaeology. They are dismissed as a collection of stunning coincidences, errors, or outright hoaxes. They are explained away with convoluted theories that require more faith than the evidence itself. They are ignored because the alternative, that an advanced civilization existed before the last ice age, is simply too disruptive, too paradigm-shattering to consider. The silence from the mainstream around these maps is not an empty silence. It is the sound of a paradigm protecting itself. It is the sound of dogma defending its territory. It is far easier and far safer for one's career to call the ancient cartographers fools than to admit that our entire, carefully constructed understanding of the deep past might be fundamentally wrong. In the end, we are left with a choice. The official narrative asks us to believe in a series of impossible coincidences. It asks us to accept that multiple, unconnected master cartographers, separated by decades and continents, all made the same fantastic error. An error that, by sheer chance, perfectly aligns with modern scientific discoveries. The physical evidence, however, asks us to believe something far simpler, and yet far more profound: that our ancestors were not ignorant, but were the inheritors of a lost science, desperately trying to preserve the last fragments of a world they could no longer reach. These maps are perhaps the most powerful evidence that our history is not a short, simple line stretching from cavemen to astronauts. They suggest that human history is a long, complex, and perhaps cyclical story of rise and fall, of memory and forgetting. They are a message in a bottle, a warning that what is built can be broken, that what is known can be lost. They challenge us to ask the most fundamental question: are we the first advanced technological civilization to walk this earth? Or are we simply the latest, living on a planet that has already seen ages of wonder and ruin, that we have been taught to forget?